This is the Mazda 6, and it's a more left field alternative to a Ford Mondeo. In fact, you can think of the Ford as being a bit like a set of Converse sneakers, whereas this is like a quirky set of Onitsuka Tigers, so Japanese rather than American, a little bit more unusual, trendier I'd say. So this car, despite being quite trendy, it's not that expensive. It starts from just over £23,000, but you can save almost £3,000 on one on average through CarWow. So if you want to see how much you can save on a new car, click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen to go to CarWow. Mazda has recently updated the 6 to make it look even more gorgeous. I think it really stands out. This is the top of the range GT Sport now version. So it's got all the bells and whistles. It's a really, really attractive car, don't you think? There is something you really need to know about it though. That's why I'm starting at the boot. You see, this car is a saloon. You can also get it as an estate, but there's no hatchback version. Still, the size of the opening is all right for a saloon, and the size of the boot itself is fairly decent. It's just that loading things in and out is always going to be harder than in a more accessible hatchback. There is a bit of a boot lip as well, but it's not too bad. In terms of clever features, nah, there's not so much. So there is a storage area down here. Underneath this mat, which is padded and feels quite expensive, look, there is absolutely no storage at all. Oh well, just some tyre repair kit. There's no tether hooks or anything like that. You can fold down the rear seats if you need to carry longer items. You just pull on these levers here. But the seats, they have not dropped, so you have to go around and do it manually. There we go. Once you've done that, you do have a fairly flat floor, so you can slide items through to the front quite easily. Look, maybe that's the way to push the chairs down. You just do it with something that you want to load the boot with. When it comes to shutting the boot, don't worry about getting your hands dirty, because there is a little handle on the inside here, which is really useful. Let's just walk around to the back seats. I can illustrate this now. It's really annoying though, this central seat belt snags. It'd be better if it was mounted on the seat back. At least the door openings are quite large, which is handy when you're trying to get your suitcase out of the way, or for when you're trying to fit a child seat. So right, space in the back. Now, I've got that chair in my usual driving position. Knee room's really good. Foot room's decent as well. Look, I can slide my feet underneath the seat in front, so you can stretch out a bit more. The only issue that you might have if you're over 6 foot tall is that headroom. Look, if I'm sitting up dead straight, my head's almost touching the roof, and I'm just over 5'10". It's not the greatest. Now, if you need to carry 3 in the back at once, it gets a little bit worse as well. Yes, there's no big hump in the floor. There is a bit of a ridge, but it's not too bad. So there is plenty of room for everyone's feet, but then you really see the problem with that sloping roof lines, and it's not great for the person in the middle. Kids will be fine though, absolutely fine. And they're like this, look. The rear windows, they go all the way down. It's just a shame the ledge is a little bit high, so real small kids might struggle to see out of it. Now, one thing I can't complain about is this, look. The rear seat bench is just so deep, so you get lots of under thigh support. In fact, the seats are super plush on this car because it's the top spec. You've not only got this lovely leather, but you've also got these shiny bits of trim on the seat all the way in the back. In fact, quality back here is lovely. For instance, check this out. The seat backs are leather. You've got that silver trim again there. The pockets on the seat backs, they're really expensive, feeling like you can put your iPad in there and it'll hold it nice and secure. It doesn't flop around. There's some air vents here. Now, you might be wondering, where the heck are the USB charging ports? Well, I'll show you. In here, if I flip this up, they are there. That's pretty clever. Got some extra storage here. The buttons for the heated seats as well, and then you've got your cup holders. Look, there. Although, yeah, they're not great, are they? Also, what's not great is this, look. There's no little tab to pull this out, so you do have to like dig in there with your hand. Another thing to point out is this, look. So the coat hook is here, so if I hang my coat up, it's just going to be like dangling against me. They're much better if they're mounted here like they are in most of the cars. The lighting system in the back, not ideal. Sort of illuminating my knees, not my book, which would be there. Now, for more detail on this car's practicality, click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen to watch my detailed video on it. You'll see what it's like with 3 adults in the back, how much you can fit in the boot, and just how easy it is to fit a child seat. So let's move on to the front. Now, like I said, this is the range-topping car. So it's got lots of equipment And the first thing to note is the quality of the interior. I mean, look at the dash design and this two-tone effect we've got here. Now, if you don't have the light leather interior, then you don't get that. I mean, it's completely up to you. But generally, the quality is lovely. I mean, I like the way you've got this strip in, it runs round into the doors. You've got these wooden inlays here on the dash, on the doors as well. The quality of the dash itself is really nice, and on the door tops. Then this, because it's the range topping car, you get this suede effect. Now, the problem with this, being in this colour, it could get dirty if you rub your hands on it like that, but most people aren't going to do that, are they? Just motoring journalists testing the quality of the interior trim. You've got the suede effect here on the door trim as well. And check this out, look how squidgy and soft this is. In fact, you have to reach really low down to feel some cheaper plastics, and they're not too bad anywhere at all inside this car. I like this as well, look, when you open the door, the actual air vent is cut away into the door. The steering wheel feels nice as well. The layout of the ventilation system is really easy to use. The buttons are nice and big. Also, the electric window switches, they've got little metal inlays on them, which adds to the quality feel yet again. And the control for the infotainment system has a really nice feel to it. So let's talk about the infotainment system. You can control it using the swivel wheel, the shortcut buttons, and it's also a touchscreen as well. So you decide how you want to use it. Touchscreen is probably better when you're stationary, this when you're driving. And generally, this system is quite nice and easy to use. The graphics aren't the sharpest, it's not the brightest, but it generally does a good job and it's not laggy at all. Look at that. Now, for my detailed infotainment video review and for more information about this car's interior, click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen to watch my detailed review of it. I like the dials in this car. So you've got analog rev counter, but then the speedo is digital. And it may seem a bit old-fashioned to have this stalk pointing out there to change different things, such as the brightness of the display. But if you press it, you can change the speedo from miles per hour to kilometers an hour. That simple, nice and easy. Some of the things I want to point out to you, which I find a little bit interesting. So yeah, you have a glasses holder there and it's lined so you don't scratch your lenses, which is good. This sun visor has to be one of the thickest I've ever felt in a car. It's about, look, that thick. It's a bit unnecessary, but I like this. Look, you've got a little pouch there where you can put something, maybe your mobile phone, if you want to keep it away, or your parking ticket. And I like this as well, look. It's just the way the cover for the vanity mirror operates. The last bit just snaps into place and it just feels quality. And of course you can have it to the side like that to stop you getting blind when the sun's over there, and it is big enough to work. This one's also got a frameless rear view mirror, which looks very, very posh. But then you've got this, which is odd. So this guy has a sunroof, yet to open the blind, it's manual. But why not? Look how easy that is. Why would it need to be electric? It's good, that, I quite like it. Another thing I want to point out is the storage. So, door bins, I've got one bottle in there, and another one, which is pretty decent. If I go under here, there's an all right amount of space. We've got a 12-volt socket down there, auxiliary in. How old-fashioned is that? And 2 USB ports there as well for charging your devices. Up here, though, we then have a CD player. No one needs those anymore, really. And there's a little space there where, once again, you can put your phone if you want it there instead. There's also a little bit of storage here. I mean, it's tiny. I don't know what you're going to keep in there. Maybe a secret stash of coins. Yeah. And then the glove box. That feels expensive the way that's lined with some felty material as well. Though the glove box itself isn't actually that big. In terms of the driving position, Mazdas have a brilliant driving position. Maybe it's because they're Japanese and they're originally conceived as right-hand drive, so it's just perfect, it's sporty. There's lots of adjustment in the steering wheel as well, look at that. The only problem I have is this, look, you can move the seat quite a lot, but if you are quite tall, you'll notice that actually, look at this. There isn't too much headroom. Even if I put this chair all the way to its lowest setting, if you're really tall, you may struggle with headroom in the front of this car. So if you're interested in it, you need to sit in one and check it out if you're a tall person. Now, in terms of the other stuff fitted to this car, I mean, it's fully loaded with kit. It's absolutely crazy what we've got on this car. And you think, it's going to be really expensive, isn't it? But let me just get my iPad. So I plug the details of this 2.2 litre diesel manual GT Sport Nav into the carwow configurator, and I got an offer back for £27,000, which is all right considering the amount of kit you get on this car. It's a saving of just over £1,300. However, if I'm buying on finance, which most people do, I can actually get an extra £4,000 off from Mazda. So then it's £23,000 for this car with all this kit. That is insane. Now, if you're thinking about buying a new car, just click up there to go to our configurator, try it out, just build some cars and see what kind of deals you can get back. It's worth it just for fun, if nothing else.
Now then, it's time for the CarWow 5 annoying things about this car.
The location of the cup holders here in the front isn't great because if you've got a tall drink, it kind of gets in the way of the gear lever. And if you've got a big cup of coffee, you might end up knocking it everywhere. The resolution of the reversing camera is just so poor. It's like one of the very first LCD screens. Also, the 360-degree camera isn't all that good either because at the front and the back of the car, there's this like black area, so you're not entirely sure how close you are to things, which means it's a bit useless. You know when you get into your car on a cold morning and you have condensation on the outside of the window? Normally you can get rid of it just by lowering the window and it wipes it off. But for some reason on this car, it doesn't do it at all. So you have to get out and remove it yourself. And now I've got a cold, wet hand. The electric motor which moves the seat base is really noisy. For instance, the one for the backrest, it's fine. Now hear this. Rather than have the fuel filler cap automatically open when you get out of the car and the car's unlocked, or have it on a neat and tidy electronically operated button, it's actually on an old-fashioned cable-connected lever to the filler cap itself. How old-fashioned is that?
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5.
You get height adjustment on the seat belt and the mechanism is very easy to operate. Look, it means you can have it at the perfect height without worrying about strangling yourself. The Mazda 6 has something called iLoop, so when you're braking, it actually recoups some of that energy, puts into the battery to store it, and then you can use that to power things like the ventilation system, the stereo, the heated seats and other electrical stuff, and that helps improve the efficiency. This car comes with a heads-up display as standard on every single model. Now, that's the kind of tech you normally have to pay extra for, even on very expensive cars. This optional Sol Red paint is painted on using a special technique known as Takamunori, and apparently that makes it 20% brighter. I'm not entirely sure what it's 20% brighter compared to. I just read it in the brochure. It sort of impressed me. The petrol versions of the Mazda 6 have cylinder deactivation to help improve economy when you're just cruising. This is the diesel, so it doesn't have it, but I will point out that this is quite quiet for a 4-cylinder diesel. They're even more rattly than this normally. For a largish car, this Mazda 6 is quite easy to drive in town. I think you get a really good view out the front. There's not too much of a blind spot here because the mirror is mounted on the door rather than on this pillar, so it doesn't get in the way and you can look around this quite easily. You've got a decent sized back window as well, so yeah, that's not bad. Other things that I like about it for driving in town are the steering, which is very, very light. Then there's the brakes. Mazda always nails the brakes on its cars. They just have the right amount of sensitivity and plenty of stopping power. Then there's the gear shifter. Now, depending on your point of view, you'll either like it or not. I really, really like it because it's got this short throw, it's got a bit of weight to it, it's got a mechanical feel. You can almost feel the cogs working together. It feels like a sports car's gear shifter. However, you might prefer something that's just a little bit easier and a little bit less involving. If you want something even less involving, there is an automatic, though it's not one of the better automatics. I'll let you know that now. In terms of the suspension, it does an all right job over the bumps. On bigger wheels, such as this car's got, it's on 19-inch alloys actually, it does fidget about a bit over broken surfaces, but the faster you go, it just starts to smooth out and calm down a bit. And for cruising on the motorway, this car is pretty good. You do get a bit of wind whistle from up here, but not too much tyre noise, so that's good, makes it relaxing. Seats are blooming lovely. You can do loads and loads of miles in them. The engine, the 2.2 diesel engine that you get from Mazda is great. It's smooth, it's punchy. This one has over 180 horsepower, and it just feels fast. Great for overtaking, great for towing. And I'm getting great economy, almost 48 miles per gallon, and I haven't been driving this car particularly sedately either. If you're going to get this car, get this engine. Don't bother with one of the petrols. They're either too weedy or the 2.5 is too expensive and too thirsty. Now though, we've come to some twisty roads where you think a Mazda's going to excel, and it does actually go around the corners all right, but it's not quite as good as I expected because the steering, it doesn't feel like it's connected to the front wheels. No idea what the front wheels are doing, which is a shame really, because when you start to push this car hard, you want to know what they're doing because they start to run out of grip, and it doesn't hold on in the corners quite as well as you might think it does. For instance, a Vauxhall Insignia Grand Sport does actually grip better. It's all right though, for most people, this be fine. Now, if you want to see the best deals CarWow has on the Mazda 6, click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen, or on the link below the video. You can check them out for yourself. So then, what's my verdict on the Mazda 6? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Mazda 6. It's a really nice, all-round family saloon car.
If you enjoyed this video, please click on our logo to subscribe to this channel, or to watch more content on the bottom right-hand corner. However, if you want to save money on a car, click on the right to go to our deals page to see how much money you can save at CarWow.